Hey guys, so I'm making a little album that I've got to just make up this afternoon quickly, and I thought it might be a fun idea just to video it and just let you have the class video. So what I've done is I've cut 2 pieces of board to 8.5 by 6.5, and then I've got a span that is 1 3/4 by 6.5. So I've cut those 2 sides and then I've taped them. So just around the outside, and then also I've taped the full span, up that to the side. Then I've cut 2 pieces of pattern paper, and I'm using a really versatile range from Celebr8 called Cotton Candy. So I've taken 2 of the sheets and I've cut those to, I'll tell you the size now, 10 3/4 by 8.5. So there's 10 3/4 by 8.5, and I've joined them down the center. So next up, I'm just going to remove that tape that's in the center, and I'm going to pop my ruler on the centering line and 1 inch down, just to give me my levels. So there it is there. Popping it down like so, and then I'm going to quickly, before I go any further, mark the halfway line. Might be easier to get another ruler. So 1 3/4. So if I just put it on here, 1 3/4. So it's 7/8 of an inch on either side of the middle. I've got it right there. Sorry. I should never rush these things. Okay. So all that is to help me with getting it straight. I'm not great at getting things straight. Okay, so removing the release tape. So there's going to be that one piece that doesn't want to release nicely. Then I'm lining up the 6th, and I'm lining up the other one with the middle there. Okay, so I've now got my space, I've got my levels, and I'm going to pop on some 1/4 inch tape. This is really important. It doesn't quite look as fat as normal, but this is really important because this is going to stop your span from tearing. So you're going to pop a piece on that side and a piece on this side. So might be a little bit too far away, and then I am going to remove the release tape. You can use glue. I just like using the double-sided tape. Get rid of all your bits as you're working. I'm going to put that there. And with the ruler here, we've got our level. I'm going to do the other side as well. I might even have left a little bit more than I needed to of a gap, but I'm okay with that. Okay, so I can remove my ruler. And the next step I'm going to do is pop tape all along the edge. You'll see I don't put it in the corners because we're going to top that off anyway when we mark the corners. And I normally leave an inch gap, but this is slightly wider than an inch. But I normally have an inch all the way around. I like an inch. I like the fold to be a decent fold. Next up, I'm using my Mitre jig. And I'm going to just mitre the corners. If you're looking for a Mitre jig, they're available from me at Backwards Practice. And okay, so when you mitre, just make sure that you leave a gap at the edge there so that we don't have any of the board sticking through. Next step, I'm just going to score. All the way around the outside. This is just going to help me with folding. And I'm using my board to help me fold. And before I go any further, I'm just going to lift a couple of little zips. Like so. And then to help me, I'm going to fold both alongside. Going to burn it. Lift that one out, it got stuck. And the next step is I'm going to just tuck in my corners. Tucking in, tucking in. And then I can remove the really tape from the short ends. Is outside ready to continue with a little bit later. Okay, so the next step we are going to do is we're going to do the hinge. And I was so clever and that I didn't actually bring any cardstock through to do it. So I'm not going to stress. I'm actually going to choose one of these for the hinge. And if I look at my measurements in my book, okay, so my pages are going to be 8 1/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to cut my hinge piece to 6 1/4. Let's see what color hinge we want. I don't like the idea of putting a dark hinge. Oh, dots would be cool, but that's not, I can't get 6 inches. Okay, so I'm actually going to use this sheet. I'm going to just cut this to 6 1/4 inches because that's my finished page. There it is. So it's 6 1/4. I'm going to pause the video because I'm just going to work out my hinge quickly. So I'm going to use a standard 1/2 inch gap. So starting at 2 inches, I like a nice big section. So starting at 2 inches, I'm scoring at 2 3/4 and 3 1/2 inches. Then I'm going to score at 4 inches, then at 4 3/4 and 5 1/2 inches. And then again at 6 inches, 6 3/4 and 7 1/2. And I'm left with 1/2 inch on that side. So just to go through that again, I'm scoring at 2 inches, 2 3/4 and 3 1/2. At 4 3/4, 5 1/2. At 6 3/4 and 7 1/2. Pop my scoreboard away, and I'm going to grab my 3/4 inch tape because this is going to make my life super easy. And looking at my hinge, I've got a hinge there, I've got a gusset, my second hinge and a gusset, and my third hinge. And all I'm going to do, okay, and all I'm going to do is put tape on one of the pairs for each hinge. Right, so I'm doing that one, and that one. And my 3/4 inch or 18mm tape, it fits in there perfectly. Okay. So I'm now going to fold over my pairs. I'm going to join those two together, those two together, and those two together. And I always fold first, just to make sure I'm straight. Okay. And then fold back. Then you're going to fold on that one, so between, on that score line between the two hinges. Fold so nice and true compared with cardstock. Fold and fold back and burnish, and I'm left with, there's my beautiful hinge. Right, there it is there. Okay, we're not finished because we've got to tape up the front and back of the hinge. And for this one, I'm going to use my 1/2 inch tape, and I'm taping right at the top of each hinge. And the reason I'm using 1/2 inch tape is it's giving me my measurement for when I add my pocket page. If you are lazy like me and you don't like cutting the tape, and we're going to run a piece of tape on both sides, just remember, don't pull it too tight. Okay, so that's the front almost complete, not quite done. Taped up the hinges, ready to attach the pages. What I am now going to do is I'm just going to mark to the corner to allow the pocket pages to fit onto the hinge perfectly. And I generally just allow my scissors kind of pull and you'll grab underneath or put that groove. So that's the front of my hinge now done. I'm going to flip over and I'm going to work on the back of my hinge. And what I like to do is I like to put 1/2 inch tape on the two pieces that I've got marked gusset. So, and then I'm actually going to put some more tape on either side of the gusset. And again, I'm using just 12mm tape, 1/2 inch tape. And now I'm going to be a little bit lazier and I'm going to use my 3/4 inch tape. My hinge is now prepped back and front and ready to go into my album. If you wish, now's the time. If you're going to chalk, you could actually chalk the edges. I'm not terribly into chalking. I don't love it, but I can see that there's a lot of white, so I'm going to pop out and just get a chalk quickly. I'm going to chalk or ink my edges, and I've just got a Starlight Black. And the reason I've gone for that is that it's just going to take the white edge off the pattern paper. If I'd used a cardstock, I wouldn't have worried to do this at all because it would have been fine. But I don't want to see the white, too much white edge. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to attach my hinge to my album. All right, so where we've done the join, we already know that that's halfway. Okay, let it just focus. There it is. Okay, and because we've got just three hinges, we know that that's going to be the middle. So what I do is I remember the two that had gusset written on it. I'm going to remove the tape just from those two. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the center with the center of, and kind of eyeball it so it's level. And once I'm happy, then I can push down. The hinge is now sitting nicely. It's not going anywhere. So what I can do now is remove the tape. Down. Remove the tape. Drop it down. And my hinge is now in place. So what I can do is just break this one. So basically, that's my outer already and done. So I can pop that to the side because now I need to cut pieces to fit in here. So I'm going to choose 2 pieces of card or pattern paper because I'm using just pattern paper in this album. And I'm going to choose 2 pieces that will go, one in the front and one in the back. And I'm going to cut those to 8 3/4 inches. So always width first, that's 6 3/4. So I don't necessarily need to continue with this, the dark, moody sort of colors. But I almost have a feeling that I am going to continue just because I'm going to do the pages in different colors. So I'm going to take 2 of these, pop them onto my big guillotine which you can't see. So I'm going to cut 3/8 piece first. Okay, so I cut it to 6 3/8 first. And then I've cut it to 6 3/8. 8 3/8 by 6 3/8, but I cut this one first just so that it gives me a fair bit of paper where the offcut is. So I'm going to pop one on there, and I'm going to pop the other one on here. And I'm going to be super lazy. Normally I would tape them, but I'm just going to use this glue, and I'm going to stick them down. All right, and what I should have done probably is also chalk the edges because we're going to have that white bit. Just picking up the brim and being really careful and just quickly adding a bit of color to the side. Not the easiest way to do it like this. And I'm going to stick it down, kind of in the center. Let's do this one the correct way. Sure, before I add the glue, because it's going to make my life a whole heap easier. Okay, and like I said, if I was using cardstock, I definitely wouldn't be chalking. So just adding a nice thin. Slowly for me. Off the nozzle. I've got that one that way. I think I might do this one. No, I'll just keep it the same way. Right, popping it on there. There, and there we've got inner and outer complete. And if you see there, it's not stuck beautifully, which is why I normally would use tape around the edges. I love using tape on the outer edges, but I'm in a bit of a hurry today. Okay, so taped. Next up, we're going to be cutting the pages. So I want these pages to be 6 1/4 inches, and I want them to be roughly 6 1/4 by the width is going to be 8 because we've got that little bit there. So I'm going to go through my pattern paper and I'm going to go to colors now because I think I'm going to do each page a different color. So we've got a choice. We've got blue, we've got green, we've got pink, and we've got the lilac. So I think I'm going to do the blue page. I'm just checking what's on the back. So I think what I'm going to do so that I've got a bit of everything left, I'm going to use one plain and one with a pattern. So I'm going to use a blue. I'm just moving it to the side. And I'm going to do the same with the green. So again, one with a bit of a pattern and the plain. Blue, green, and then the decision, should it be purple or should it be the pink? I think I'm going to use the pink, just purely because the wedding, the album, the person I'm making the album for their wedding was a protea, so pink proteas instead of the lavender. Okay, so I've done the same. I've got a pattern and a plain and a pattern and a plain and a pattern. And I'm now going to cut these to size quickly. So I'm going to just pause the video while I cut them. Okay, so I've cut these, both of these, or all 6 of these, I've cut them to 6 inches. And then I've cut the front one to cut it from 8 inches by 6 1/4, and this one I cut to 8 inches by 7 1/4. And I'm going to put the smaller one to the side, the bigger one we're going to get a scoreboard, and we're going to score them. So I'm going to score at 5 and at 6 3/4. 5 and 6 3/4. That's on the 7 1/4 side, and at half and at 6 3/4. Okay. popping that aside. I'm grabbing my tape and I can get rid of my 3/4 inch tape. Tape at the heartland section created by the school line, and I'm putting it on the right side, the side I want to see. I'm making sure I don't go over the school line with the tape. I don't want any sticky bits sticking out. So my base pages are all taped. Right, so now what you're going to do is prep our pages, and I'm going to just miter the corners. So I'm mitering from that score line inwards, and I like to work so it's comfortable for me, and I find it comfortable that way. Okay. So generally what I do is let my scissors kind of fall into that score line. For some unknown reason, seem to have cut the pages ever so slightly short. So I'm just going to fix that, which I love it when there are little errors, because then some of you might go, oh, I'm got a little bit short here, but I'm going to show you that it doesn't matter. You can just fix it. So basically all I'm doing is I'm going in here and I am just trimming off a little bit of excess tape that I've got. My base pages, all I need to do is fold those, and obviously I'm not going to be using Starlight Black now because it won't work that well, and also because this is now a lighter color, you won't notice the white core as much. Okay, so it's when there's a white core and the paper's quite dark that you need to just. Right, so we've got our pages prepped. There they are. We've got the front pages prepped, top of the pages prepped, and there those are. So I'm just going to have a quick flip. And we're going to get joined. Right, so this is the way I like to join them together. I like to lift. So I like to anchor. Make sure before I stick it that I've anchored it correctly. This one done. I think I'm going to just neaten up. Be careful when you do this. You don't want to cut through your hinge. So just be very, very, very careful. Okay, so first pocket page done. Second pocket page coming up. Okay, line them up. Line line that up very well, but I'm not undoing it. Okay. Just neaten up. Way better to neaten up now than to put it in your album. Okay, blue one done. And next onto the green one. Quite different working with a pattern paper as opposed to working with a cardstock. It's got a different, totally different feel to it. And I'm one of those annoying people that can feel if the texture of the paper's been changed. We've got a teeny little bit, and remember it's handmade, so if it's not 100% perfect, don't beat yourself up. So these are my 3 base pages. Now just to decide which order I'm going to put them in. I think I'm going to do I think I'm going to put the pink in the middle. Start with blue at the back. Right, so I'm just opening up and trying, making sure that it fits. And the other thing I want to do is make sure I get it straight. Okay, so I'm going to be lining it up, and I can see that I'm slightly off here. So I'm going to just make a little modification. And I'm also going to just mark it a little bit more. Okay, now I'm happy. Remove the tape off just the front. Put it up again, drop it on. Before I stick it, I'm just going to manipulate it a bit to make sure it's level, and when I'm happy, push down. Same again, I'm going to do the pink. And pop it on. I need to make sure it's level. And again, I'm just trimming this. Not ideal, but hey, it's going to work and it's going to make it look all right. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Remove the release tape. Thin smear of the Tombow Aqua. Line it up and stick down. Okay, and finally the green, and I'm going to put them all the same way. By same way, I mean the pattern's the same. The green, again, fix it or attach it. Make sure it's level. Okay, I'm going to come a little bit off here, and this is all making my scissors really grim. Trim that little bit off. Okay, a little bit of glue, sorry. Make sure that it's level, stick down. Now I can turn it over and I can come back and just put my knife in and pull the release tape out. And it makes it, I'll never forget the first album I made. I had the double-sided tape off on both sides. I didn't have the glue to help with movement and all the rest of it. It was so difficult and so stressful. So that just takes the stress out of it. And there's the base album complete. All I'm going to do is come in with a little bit of this Starlight Black, and I'm hiding that part because I just want to put, you know, we have cut. Just want to put a little bit of the Starlight Black on over there. Okay. Right, and that's the base of my album complete. So at this stage, I can either have it green in the front with the blue at the back, or if I turn it over, I can have the blue going through to the green. So whichever way blows your hair back, that's the way it will be. Right, next up, we're going to start adding some flaps and flips and pockets and stuff. I'm not going to do terribly difficult ones. The one thing, or the one reason I've done it this size is because this is a full 6 inches. And with this being 8 inches plus that little bit, with this being 8 inches, you could pretty much get 2 jumbo photos in. Okay, so starting with something, a pocket on here. So I'm kind of led you into my thought process as we go as well. So for that, I'm going to look. I'm going to be looking at these colors. Okay, so on here, I've got things like smiles are always in fashion, make today great, follow your dreams, they know the way. When things change inside you, things change around. So there's some really cool little sayings, and there's also some cool little tags. So there's 2 of those. This one has got some more little tags. So I'm starting to think that I might use some of these tags. I love dots. So let's see what's on the back of the dots. We've got 2 sets of dots, and we've got a plain. I'm not loving the difference in color. I think I'm going to do a little page with the dots. So let's take the dots out. And I'm going to trim, first of all, the barcode. And then I'm going to cut trim the barcode off. I'm actually going to try and cut so that I can also possibly use, I don't like the color of that one. I do like the color of this one, this side. I'm just going to pop that to the side for now because that's quite cool to use as an insert, and the color isn't too bad. And then I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to use my baby guillotine. So my tools of choice are this baby guillotine and then my big arrow guillotine. That's pretty much those are my go-tos. Oops, I dusted that. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to make a pocket for the front. And we've got a bit of the dark, the light on dark, and here I've got dark on light. I'm not too stressed about that. And I'm thinking that maybe we need to turn it into some sort of feature. So it's right on the 2-inch mark. Just going to give that a little fold. Okay. And we're going to add in some sort of pocket or strip. Right, so I'm letting the paper do the actual work here. And I'm just not loving how that's got such a greenish undertone, and this has got like more of a bluey purple undertone. So let's see. Maybe we should just use the, we're just going to use the light spot. So I'm going to cut a simple pocket. I'm going to use this just as my hinge. So I'm just going to mark it off. I'm going to give it a little chop. So I've added on, and I'll give you the measurements. Okay, so that is 6.5 inches. That's going to be quite a nice size pocket, and it's 6.5 inches by 6 inches. Okay, so 6.5 by 6, and we're going to create a cute little box. So with the 6-inch side at the top, we're going to score at 5.5 and at a half. We're going to turn it and score at a half, or if you like me, you're going to score at 6. Put on the right side, and a 1/2 inch section at 1/2 inch area created by the score line. And then we're going to quickly miter the corners. We also are going to miter where the lines intersect. So I'm just, you're not going to see this, putting a pen line, because my eyesight's not great. Okay, we're going to pop that on so that the score lines, okay, are the engraved section is on the score lines, and it meets where it meets, kind of, it's yeah, so we can miter the corners. So mitered. We're going to pop this in here. We're going to see which way we should pop it. We can either pop it that way and have something there, or there, or there. I'm actually going to stick it this way so we can pull something out of there and still see the pattern. Taking it just up, and also I'm taking it so that it's kind of equal. The gap between there and there, and this side and this side and this side and this side is relatively equal. And then we have it. So we have the first pocket on the inner cover. So it means that I can have little tags sticking out here, and I can have something still on here. We'll get back to that at a later stage. The other thing is we could also put it on the scoreboard. And the score at 3 and 9. Pop that straight in there, either with it closed or with it open. Okay. So there's a pocket done front, very quick, very simple pocket. Okay, next we're going to be working on the green. Now, I don't ever throw any offcuts away because we might be able to use them. So I'm going to stick with the colors. So I'm just going to sort them very quickly. my blue, my green, and my pink. So not only is this going to be relatively budget friendly, but I also want it to be quite a quick make. Okay, so there's my creams and my chalkboard color sort of ones. There's my pink offcuts, my blue offcuts, green offcuts. Right, so I'm going to have a look and see what I've got because I don't want to waste anything. So I've got this, which has got a little bit of pattern on at the top. We've got this that's also got a little bit of a pattern on. We've got this that we could cut down, okay? And this one, we've got the two different pieces. Okay. So let's have a look. I'm going to cut into it at the 6-inch mark, turning 90 degrees and cutting it at 5.5 inches. This one, I'm going to do the same, 5.5 inches. So I've got one that can come in from there, one that can come in from there. So these are 6 inches by 5.5. Popping the 6-inch side of my scoreboard, scoring at 1/2 on that one, popping my 6-inch side of the scoreboard and scoring at 5.5. And this is just going to create two simple flaps. Putting tape on the right side, so the side I want to see is the right side. I'm going to have one opening at the top, one opening at the bottom. Okay, so it creates like a little photo mat. Because it's green on green, so I'm having down the bottom and along with the line with the edges. Okay, so it's green on green. You're not even noticing, or you don't notice too much where those join in. Okay, so that's page 1 done. Flipping over to the back, again, I want to try and use all the little bits that I've used. And I kind of like the idea of maybe having, I like the idea of using like all these little bits as well. Okay. So we have the green and we have the floral. And let's see what we're going to do with it. Remember, I said it's a super simple album. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut it so that that piece there is 1/2 inch. That's going to create my my hinge. I've already got a piece there that I'm going to use as my hinge, and then I'm going to grab these and I'm going to cut these, just pretty much making 4-inch. One doesn't need any further. This one's got this little bit, so I'm actually going to take it and I'm going to cut that right down. I don't want to waste these little scallops, so I just want to fussy cut the little scallops because I think they could be quite fun. I don't love cutting them. Not my favorite thing to cut. I need to get my brother out and make sure, just get him cutting all these things. That's my brother's scan and cut, see, that I'm talking about. Don't like that teeny, weeny little piece there on the edge. It's just going to bend. I'm walling and then cutting that off so it's nice and neat. So the one thing with this is that these have to be stuck down before I carry on fussy cutting, because it's got the strip here. Do I want to actually do that? We have some flaps. Okay, so I'm just going to continue with the cutting because we'll make a plan so that we can use them. And remember, oopsie, not very well cut. Once you put your paper, your photos on them, at the moment this is very green, but once you put your photos on them, oh, I'm doing a shocking job of fussy cutting here. And then the final piece is here. I don't think I've done the smartest of things here with fussy cutting these. Okay. So this finishes score, and although it finishes there, I'm scoring down so that I've got a decent half-inch section that I can put my tape on. So a little bit further down, I would normally, I would have scored at the 4 3/4, but I'm going to take it down and score a little bit further down. So 1 2 3 4, I'm going to score at 2 3/4 on that one. Right. All away. And let's get these done. Oh, I forgot to score these two. I'm going to score on the 6, and I'm going to score on the 5 3/4. So we've got heaps of little flappy things that we're making. I just want to make sure that I do take on the correct side. So I want to take on this side. Should probably have gone down a little bit further when I scored. Okay, so you don't see that. Okay, these are going to be slightly different because we want to hide the barcode strip. So I'm scoring on the right side. I'm going to get creative doing the first page. Second page, sorry. Okay, we're using all the greens. So let's just fix the one quickly. I don't like where that one scored. I'm just going to move the score line down to 5 7/8. Move to 5 7/8. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove this bit of tape, the release paper. And I'm going to add on another piece of tape over the top. It serves two purposes. One, it's going to help my fold. And number two, it's just rectifying my problem. Really. Let's see which way this is going to go. Fit both? No, we can't. So we're going to have one at the top and one at the side, like that. One at the bottom. All right. Checking where I can use these. But remember, this is just a kind of a spur of the moment album. So it's not one of those that I sit down and plan for days on end. Yeah. I'm just going to, okay, so just while I'm yakking away, when I do my big albums, those I can probably take a week to prep. When I say a week to prep, it's getting ideas together. Okay, so that gives you quite a nice bit there. I don't know if I love this going sideways. Somehow the stripe should be going upwards or downwards. Going back to that sideways stripe. I'm actually even going to use this one. I'm going to use it off the top. And then I've pretty much used every little stitch of green that I had. And the only other thing that I will definitely be doing is using some of the we've got quite a few flaps there. So as far as photos are concerned, 1, 2, 3, something small, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So just quite a few flaps there. So it's 12 on that page, and on this page we're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got quite a few flaps already. Okay, so we're onto the pink page again. So I'm going to replicate this again. Okay. So as I said to you, this is a really simple mini album. I'm putting the 6-inch side up, and if I remember correctly, yeah, I'm going to have the 6-inch side, and I'm going to score at 5.5 or 1/2, whichever one makes you happy. Right, so I'm going to score those, and I'm going to have those on either side. And then on the back of it, I'm going to use these pieces, which I'll cut down to 6x4. And I'm not too stressed that it's got a pattern on the back, because you're going to cover it with a photo anyway. But I am going to make sure that when I score on the 6-inch side, I'm scoring on, like, for instance, on this one, I'm going to score on the side that I've got the smaller. That one's got a bit of the other paper on it. And yeah, right. So this is my pink page, the base of my pink page that I'm doing. And I'll just show a different way to attach. So I'm scoring, I'm adding tape to the wrong side now. So this is going to be slightly different. I'm going to, again, I'm going to put this one near the top. So this one, bottom, kind of the same distance between there and there. So that these, when you open it, the hinge, you don't see the hinge. Okay, so you can either go that way or that way. So that's page 3. Getting on to page 4. And I'm going to do this with the regular attachments. So all the sort of the pink side up, like where it's a full sheet, not divided. Side, which one I'm going to do at the top. I'm going to do a little stacked waterfall, so there'll be space on the side. So let's just work out which one we're going to do where. We've got a black and a black, so I'm going to put one of those in between. Right. I kind of like the black matches the fun. I'm going to add that, and again I'm eyeballing it. Okay, so there it is there. That's directly on top. Definitely a little smaller. Basic stack waterfall. Just going to come in with my bone fold and I'm just going to burn it. Okay, so it pushes it down. So if we have a look, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've also got this little space which we've got some really nice embellishments that we can use a little bit later. Okay, so that's page 4. Next, we're going on to the blue paper. So again, I have got the stripe and the dot. So I'm going to continue with the stripe and the dot, doing the same as I did on the other 3. And then leftovers, I've got these bits. So I'm thinking that I'm going to use that to make a pocket. And I'm going to use these to make some inserts into the pockets. So let's pop that to the side. Let's get out the little guillotine. Scoring at 6 inches. This one I'm going to turn into a pocket. So I'm going to leave that, I'm going to cut that down to 6 1/4, 7 1/4 inches. And I don't have, it could be pretty close to 7 1/4. In fact, it is 7 1/4. So I'm going to leave that. It's 7 1/4, about 4 inches. So I'm going to leave that for my pocket. And then this I'm going to use as my insert. So I'm just going to cut. I actually like that little bit there, so I'm going to leave that on as well. And then these here, just going to cut them down so I can get that white bits. And I'm not in the mood to fussy cut again. Over. We need our scoreboard next because we're going to turn this into a pocket. So we got the 7 1/4 inch side at the top. We're scoring at 1/4 and 6 3/4. And then we're going to turn 90 degrees. And I'm going to work out where I want to put my, I want it to be this side. Okay, so I'm going to score at 5. Right. This one, I'm having a look. I'm going to have to trim it down a little bit because it's not going to fit in the pocket. Just get my guillotine out again. And I'm going to trim off a little bit so that it does. And I've still left that bit at the top. Okay. And this one is the only one that I'm actually going to score. I'm going to score on that white. So it gives me like a little fold. Okay, so like a cute little fold. These 2 I'm leaving plain because those are going to be inserts. And these 2 I'm putting on my scoreboard. They're 6 by 5 1/2. And I'm scoring at 5 1/2 on the 6 inch side. Popping right back. This one I'm going to do the same as we did last time. So I'm going to do the traditional way of adding a hinge. So I'm putting tape on the right side in the hyphen section created by the score line. I'm going to have to trim a little bit of excess tape off on that one because I had to trim off a little bit. Now quickly. And we've got the tape added to those two, so those can go to the side. The next one I want to work on is this pocket. So I'm putting tape again on the side I want to see, so on the right side. Up. And then I'm just going to mark the corner. Getting my marking material. I'll find where the intersection is. I told you my eyes aren't great. There it is there. And there it is there. Right, using my mathematic. Pockets. Right, so let's add with all of them. Well, this one goes down. Let's do this one slightly differently because why not? We're going to add this one on this side here. Effectively, what we've done is we've got three pages that are all very slightly different, but each of them we've used exactly the same measurements and score marks or score lines. So this has got one that opens like so, and it's got a little space here. This one we've scored and put the tape on the wrong side, so it opens that way. And this one we've scored so it opens that way. So we've got vertical, horizontal, and again vertical. So we've got space to add bits and pieces in there. Let's turn over onto page 6, and we've already created our pocket. So all we've got to do is decide which side we want to put it. And I generally I like to add pockets to this side, because then if things fall out, they fall towards the spine. That's little bits and pieces that we can tuck into our pockets. Obviously, there'll be a lot more that we can tuck in, but we've got all those little bits that have tucked into our pockets. So all we've got left to do is our back page. And I have these left, so we can, and I'm thinking if we put a nice chunky, either a chunky belly band, or, so we can't use that side. The other option we do is also put a nice big pocket. We've already got a pocket, so let's make a chunky belly band. And I'm going to use this creamy color. And this is 6.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to just cut to 6 inches. Okay, now I won't. I'm going to cut it to 7 inches. So I'm just going to crook here. And I've got my scoreboard. I've got my ruler. And I want it to be a little bit chunky, so I'm going to leave it and cut it kind of to the full size that I possibly can. 3.5 inches. Scoreboard. Or a half and 6.5 on the side. This is the pattern is kind of going that way, but I don't think it's a massive problem. Kind of like that. We're not ready to stick it yet because we're just going to miter the corners. It's a small miter, and what that's going to do is it's going to stop us from seeing the attachment. We said we have to put our belly band in the center. We don't have to. I actually am going to because I think it'll look better. I'm going to move it so that I can see a bit of these coming out. And I'm going to put it so it's like sort of in the center. We've got this little dude that's left from earlier. So what I'm going to do is just trim the white off. I don't mind that it's two-tone. This one here, scoring it full. Honestly, I don't want to waste anything. We also can take these little offcuts, bits and pieces that we've got left, trim them down and pop them in. I've also got on this side, I've got the black. And I'm thinking, which is always dangerous, the only thing is that we can't use the back of this. So I'm going to leave that. But I'm going to cut this. And then a perfect little place to go into your album. And I'm trying to think how many sheets of paper we've used. So we used 2 in the front, 2 in the inside covers. Then we used, so 2 in the front, 2 for the inside covers, 2 green, 2 pink, 2 blue, 10 pieces of paper. So, and definitely, okay, these will stay in once we've got extra bits on them, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look the sayings and right one. I'm going to use this one. going to have to add some bits to the front. So I'm going to finish off there, and then I'll show you what I've done with the balance at a later stage. Okay, so just a little look at the album, very simple album. Like I said to you, I think there's 10 sheets of pattern paper. I haven't used cardstock, but you could equally use just cardstock. So opening up, you have a little pocket, and then I've used excess pieces just to add in. You've got a flap. So we've used the flap all the way through. On this one, I've just used the little leftover pieces to create some little flaps and flips. On this one, we have a slightly different attachment. Turning over into the back, we've got a little stacked waterfall. Onto this one, we have used exactly the same pages. We've got a top and bottom flap, moved it to the side. Onto the back, where we have got a pocket that I've just stuck all the excess bits and pieces into. And then onto the back, we have a belly band. Again, we have taken all the excess pieces. You can equally mix and match and put some color in there. But for now, I've just kept color so that they're in one place only. So there it is. It's an 8.5, 6.5 mini album.